Welcome back to iShine Connect.
You can see here, we have, kind of an expanded version of the picture that I showed you. Pool of Siloam, and we have this beautiful road. Now, it's not like a road of today, right? We're talking about, it's massive, like a highway, but for people, right? 12, 13 yards wide. You're actually standing on that right now, and on either side, you have homes ascending all the way up to what would have been the temple. The temple would have stood right where the Golden Dome is. That is called the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
And if you would go in there today, there would be a big rock. That rock is the foundation stone. The place where Abraham does the binding of Isaac.
Oh, wow.
The place where Jacob dreams with the ladders, right? The place where the first Holy of Holies stood in the first temple, and in the second temple, the second Holy of Holies. And so we're talking about, that's the goal. That's the end goal of this ascent.
It makes so much sense of the Psalms that say, let us go up
Yes.
to the house of the Lord.
Yes.
I've noticed that a lot and never really quite understood what that would look like for people.
So I think that it's interesting that you bring that up, because when you think of that, let us go up.
Yeah.
This path is called in Hebrew, derech ole regel, which means the path of going up by foot. Now, before we uncover this, what would you think? Like, why is it called going up? Is Jerusalem really the highest place?
No.
No, physically it's not. So why is it called going up? It's a spiritual ascent.
Wow,
You're
I love
spiritually going up, and that's what we thought. But I have to show you the road, because you're gonna feel it's not just spiritual. We are really going up to Mount Moriah.
Wow.
So come this way. So here we've redone it a little bit, right? But this is an entryway to what would have been a home and a shop, right?
Wow.
People lived on the road, and you have hundreds of thousands of people. It could go for millions, right? It's like, imagine every year this city has to get ready for the Olympics. Okay?
Yeah.
People are coming, and the people are coming from all over. Maybe they need food. Maybe they need a new goat because they need a sacrifice and their goat got blemished on the way. Maybe they want a new dress. This became not only a spiritual site, but tourists. So in Jewish law, it's interesting to see that people who lived in Jerusalem, they had law, Jewish law, that they had to accept the pilgrims and give them for free a place to sleep and basic food and drink.
Wow.
Meaning you had to reach out to the other. You had to reach out to your brothers that come from far, whatever political side you're on, whatever religious side you're on, you had to bring them in. These are the foundations of, I would say, the Judeo-Christian, values that even America was built on, right? And this starts here. So what were they selling?
We need to get back to that.
Yes.
That is
yes.
powerful.
Yes.
Where it's about the other.
It's about the other. We're coming together under God.
Yeah.
Right? And so they did sell things, but it was the extra things. You want a new outfit. You want a new goat. You need, I don't know.
Who doesn't need a new
you need
goat?
a new towel because you just, went in the Siloam. But the basic was you're invited. You're here. And there was a miracle that happened that no one ever complained that there wasn't enough space in Jerusalem.
Wow.
Yeah. So with this.
So much to learn here.
Yeah. We're not going to buy anything this time.
No.
We're going to go on our own spiritual journey, and we're going to walk up the steps. And these steps, this is our way. So we're walking on the original steps. I want you to notice that there's a break in the road. There's a drainage tunnel that runs under the road. And there are these two full pots that were clearly brought into the drainage tunnel for whatever purpose. We'll talk about it at the end. But notice that there are breaks.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about them, but let's focus on the steps. Right now, we are ascending. We are starting our own Song of
these
Ascent.
are the original steps.
Nothing has been changed here.
Gosh.
And look how beautiful they're preserved, right? Like thousands of years later. And the reason they're preserved is because they literally stood underground for so long.
We've actually been allowed to go behind the scenes of the dig and continue walking up the road to the Temple Mount that is usually closed to the public, but we've been given special access.
So interestingly, another thing is these steps are not even. There are some that are long, some that are short. You'll see that in a minute there's like random ones. And the reason is that you're not supposed to do pilgrimage running.
Oh.
You have to be mindful, thoughtful of every step that we're taking. And I'm gonna tell you, right underneath that bubble, see that light bubble?
Yeah.
Can't see it right now, Means you already have to come back, but there is a coin.
There's a coin?
There's a coin under there. I'm gonna show you a picture of it. So let's take a seat over here, and I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you the story of this space.
I love stories.
Well, this one's full of them, right? We could talk here for a while. But we're sitting right in the middle of this pilgrimage road, right? We started at the Pool of Siloam, and we're on our way up. And the story here is one of unity, right? Of bringing people from all over the world together through, community and through spirituality and Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Imagine we were sitting here 2,000 years ago and you would see people coming up and you would hear songs and music and dancing, and it would be really the most spiritual time of their lives, right? This would be a place where if we took a break, right, and we would sit, you would think, what am I doing here, right? What's the purpose of me coming here? And it really is kind of threefold, right? We have our day-to-day life that we go about, and we, have our things that we have to do.
Right.
This would be a place where we say, okay, wait a second. I'm leaving that for a minute. I'm taking time to check in with myself, right? Where am I internally? Where am I spiritually? And we meet our brothers. Like, where am I with my community? Are we doing what we need? Are we really helping each other out? Are we standing for the right things together? Are we having disputes that maybe we don't need to be having? And then, thirdly, people would come here and they would see, it would be meeting with God, right? We're coming up to do this worship. They would bring up this road their Passover sacrifice. This would be the place where they would bring up the water from the Shiloach for the most spiritual and happy celebration during tabernacles. This was the spot. But the story doesn't end so well. Right below there, right, you saw the drainage tunnel.
Yeah.
The gutter.
Yeah.
And that gutter runs all along this road. That's how we actually discover the road, right? And you saw these pots that I showed you.
Yeah.
So what's happening there? And I also showed you there's a coin on the road. I want to tell you that the most important find, I think, that we found on this road are those pots and that coin. We find a number of them, by the way, and I'm going to show you a picture of them. And obviously, this is my opinion. But these are those pots that you saw, and this is that coin. Now, this coin says in ancient Hebrew, for the freedom of Zion, year 3. Freedom of Zion. What is this talking about? It brings us to year 70. Year 70, Titus comes to Jerusalem underneath Vespasian, and he totally destroys everything. Burns down the temple, and he massacres. Josephus writes that the road itself is flowing with blood. And I want you to imagine that time period, right? Those awful days of Jerusalem. And really, I'll tell you, if you ask Jewish people, they'll say, hey, why was Jerusalem destroyed in year 70? We will say something different. We won't say the Romans came in and destroyed it. We will say because of baseless hatred. That's what that's what we're taught. Why? Josephus writes that there's a road, right? And on one side of the road, you have priests and Levites, and they're working in the temple, and they have money, and, there's higher taxes from Rome, live and let live, no big deal. On the other side of the road, there are poor people that hate Rome. They want to be free in Jerusalem. They want to worship how they worship. Politically, they're against those priests and Levites. Religiously, they believe that what's going on in the temple is not the way that God wants. So religiously, they're at ends. Politically, they're at ends. Socioeconomically, they're not even on the same board game, and they're fighting each other. And then within that group, there are zealots that are fighting so hard that they're killing Jewish people that don't believe what they believe.
Wow.
And the Romans come and they say, all right, they're both killing each other. Let's just put up a siege wall. They'll kill each other. We brought Rome here. We couldn't put aside our political and religious differences and helped each other out. If we would have, perhaps Rome would have been here and, like many other cities in Israel, not destroyed Jerusalem. But it got so bad that Titus said, we can't have this in the empire. Let's just burn it all down, and we're done. What are these pots? Josephus says that the last Jews of Jerusalem snuck into the gutters under the road. They brought food with them. They brought their coins. They brought their life. They tried, somehow I'm gonna escape the Romans. And it didn't work. The Romans discovered it, broke through the road, killed every last one. This is the last spot where we have Jewish presence in Judea for 2,000 years. And if there's something that I want to kind of circle back to, it's David. David starts here, right? He writes the bestseller, many of that in this site. But there's something that he does thousands of years ago that changed history. If you look at this map, this is what Israel looks like 3,000 years ago when David comes and makes the first united capital of the people here.
Yeah.
And why does he do that? But if you look at a map, Jerusalem is located in which tribe? None. It's half in Judah and half in Benjamin. He's the first one to create a city that will be neutral. And he does this because he says, no more are we going to be divided. We will have one city. Everyone can come to this city. No matter which tribe you're from, you can't say you don't belong. And if you get really deep, Judah is the son of Leah. Benjamin is the son of Rachel. He's taking the brothers and he's saying, we're not fighting anymore. The cell of Joseph, Benjamin and Joseph versus everyone else. We're not fighting. We are one around this city. His son is going to continue to unite, build the temple, which is called the house of prayer for all nations. And we have to decide, how do we let Jerusalem unite us? Is it through love and through spirituality and through amazing history, right? Or is it through hate? Is it through bad politics? Is it through war? And we have to be the people that say, nope, we are going to allow Jerusalem to unite us through love and through light. And I guess that's what the original people on this road were doing.
It's such a message to anyone who claims to love and follow Christ, to anyone who worships God, to allow that to be so much bigger than the little things that divide us. Because honestly, over the last 2 or 3 years, particularly in the States, there's been so much division, even in the church. But what a message David left for us, that all are welcome here.
We are uniting. We have to be the followers of that message, right? And preach it to the world. We have to spread unity and love. And it's hard in our day-to-day.
Yeah. Franny, I don't know how to thank you. I mean, not just the time you've spent with me, but the story you've told me and the history. And I just thank you, my sister. It's been amazing.
It's been such a pleasure. And I hope that you come again, both to the city of David. Everybody has to come to the city of David, but also to Israel.
Yeah, I would love it.
It's been a pleasure.
I just head back like 2,000 years that way?
Yes, 2,000 years and you're there.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll be right back after this short break.
It's time for Bernie Williams to get into the batter's box and face a rock-hard ball coming at him from just 60 feet 6 inches away. Battling sinkers, sliders, curves, knucklers, changeups, forkballs, fastballs, and the occasional brushback. But Bernie doesn't sweat it. Hey, he's got a whole 1/10 of a second to react.
A message from Major League Baseball.